You ever catch yourself staring at the ceiling, phone forgotten on the nightstand, while your brain feels oddly alive? Like, sure, you're doing absolutely nothing, but inside, your mind is quietly ticking, connecting dots you didn't even know existed. Maybe it's you, maybe someone you know, the one who seems lazy, but somehow always comes up with the cleverest ideas at the last minute. What if I told you that doing nothing isn't laziness at all? It might be one of the smartest things you can do for your brain. Today, we're diving into the psychology behind the lazy genius, the paradoxical art of letting your mind wander, and why idleness can actually make you sharper, more creative, and yes, even more productive. Think about it. The person sprawled on the couch, binge watching a show while doodling on a notebook might seem like they're wasting time. But their brain is in what scientists call the default mode network, a fancy term for when your mind switches into creative autopilot. It's when you daydream, ruminate, or just stare at a ceiling fan and let your thoughts wander. And that's when some of the best ideas surface. Weird, right? Doing nothing can be the most productive thing your brain does all day. Let's start by exploring the first type of lazy genius, the strategic staller. You know them. They glance at a messy room, a pile of emails, or a looming deadline, and instead of diving in, they don't. At first glance, it looks like procrastination, maybe even laziness, but here's the twist. This stalling is often strategic. The brain uses the pause to subconsciously weigh options, simulate outcomes, and generate solutions without you even realizing it. The staller might scroll for 10 minutes, stare out the window for another 20, and suddenly, bam, they know exactly what to do. It's the psychological equivalent of letting dough rise. You can't rush the process, and when the timing is right, it's golden. Have you ever done that? Waited, fidgeted, and then, out of nowhere, clarity hits. That's your inner staller at work. Then there's the mind-wandering maverick. This type thrives in what looks like distraction. Their hands might be tapping to some invisible rhythm, or their gaze might drift over the same scene repeatedly, while inside, 1,000 mental threads are weaving together. Cognitive research tells us that letting your mind wander, daydreaming, imagining future scenarios, revisiting old memories actually strengthens connections between different brain regions. It boosts creativity, problem solving, and even emotional intelligence. These mavericks might seem absent-minded in meetings, lost in thought during conversations, or late because they forgot the time. But the truth is, their brains are quietly working overtime in the background. Maybe this is you, the one who seems spacey but can produce insights that surprise everyone, including yourself. Next up, the percolating planner. Unlike the staller who pauses and waits, the percolating planner actively lets ideas simmer. They take walks, stare into space, or engage in repetitive, low-effort tasks, washing dishes, folding laundry, or taking a shower, and their best ideas arrive in these moments of doing nothing. Why? Because the brain needs low-stimulation environments to integrate complex information. When your mind isn't bombarded with notifications, deadlines, or the infinite scroll of social media, it can digest experiences, spot patterns, and form solutions. Think of it as brewing a pot of coffee. You can't rush it, but when it's ready, the flavor is rich and full-bodied. These thinkers don't force creativity, they invite it by giving themselves the mental space to breathe. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The reflective recluse. This is the type who thrives in solitude and quiet reflection. They might spend hours alone, staring at a sunset, doodling, or journaling their thoughts. Outwardly, it seems unproductive, almost indulgent. But reflection is a core psychological tool. It strengthens metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking. It allows you to process experiences, regulate emotions, and plan future actions more effectively. Reflective recluses often come off as introverted or lazy to others, but inside, they're building an internal scaffolding of insight that makes them brilliant decision makers. If you recognize yourself here, you probably notice patterns, understand people deeply, or solve problems in ways that others overlook. Sometimes they'll even laugh to themselves at a joke. No one else heard their mind quietly at work, stitching ideas together. Finally, there's the incubating innovator. These are the aha moment people, the ones who disappear for a while, seemingly inactive, and then emerge with breakthroughs. They embrace the unpredictability of their own thought processes, trusting that insights will appear when the mind has been given time to incubate. Psychological studies show that insight often arises after a period of stepping away from a problem, not from grinding at it incessantly. The mind works like a pot of water on the stove. If you poke at it constantly, nothing happens. But leave it alone, and suddenly, bubbliness, clarity, innovation, these innovators understand intuitively that deliberate inaction can be a powerful tool. So, what's the common thread here? These lazy geniuses aren't lazy at all. They're intentional inactionists. They understand, consciously or not, that the mind needs downtime to form ideas, make connections, and solve problems. They harness idleness as a tool, not as a trap. And here's the best part. Science backs it up. Neuroimaging shows that during rest, your brain engages in consolidation, problem solving, and creativity. It strengthens memory, integrates learning, and even helps you anticipate future challenges. Doing nothing isn't just pleasurable, it's a cognitive superpower. Of course, there's a balance. Doing nothing isn't the same as chronic avoidance or shutting down responsibilities entirely. The lazy genius knows when to step back, when to percolate, and when to act. It's intentional, selective, and oddly strategic. It's a rhythm, pause, process, and then perform. Here's an example. Think of a novelist staring out a window for hours, a scientist pacing in their backyard, or an artist doodling while sipping coffee. To an outsider, it looks like wasted time, but the mind is incubating ideas, connecting disparate concepts, and rehearsing solutions to problems they might not even fully understand yet. Sometimes the magic happens in a single, quiet moment, a sigh, a stretch, a blink, and suddenly the solution is there. Or maybe it's in a hum, a muttered aha, or even a random snack break that sparks a chain of thoughts no one could have predicted. So here's a reflective question for you. Which type fits you? Are you the staller who waits for clarity? The maverick whose mind wanders? The planner who simmers ideas in motion? The reclusive reflector? Or the innovator who incubates in silence? Maybe you're a mix. Maybe you're someone who worries that doing nothing is a waste, but secretly your brain is quietly cooking up brilliance. Next time someone teases you for lounging on the couch, staring into space, or taking an extra long shower, you might just smile knowingly. You're not lazy. You're leveraging one of the most underrated tools of human cognition, the power of letting your mind wander, pause, and incubate. And maybe, just maybe, that couch, that ceiling, or that window is where your next big idea is waiting. So here's a little challenge. The next time you find yourself doing nothing, pay attention. Notice what your mind does. Where does it wander? What connections appear? Keep a notebook nearby. Some of your best insights might arrive in the quietest, seemingly unproductive moments. And hey, if you discover something brilliant, drop it in the comments. We might all learn from your lazy genius. Because in the end, doing nothing isn't nothing. It's thinking, reflecting, dreaming, and ultimately creating. And that is the kind of genius we could all use a little more of. So maybe give yourself permission to stare, to daydream, to sip that coffee slowly. Your brain might just thank you for it in ways you didn't even imagine. And who knows, that moment of stillness could end up changing everything. If you like this video, make sure to like the video. Also, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any update. Also, share it with your friends.